Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Galactic Report. Today is 10th of May 2025, not Friday as usual, but Saturday because I was traveling. And I hope you're all doing fine out there. I have some interesting information for you today. And of course, I'm starting with one of the world events that happened this week on Thursday, 8th of May. A new pope was elected by the cardinals in the Vatican. And Robert Francis Prevost was elected 267th Bishop of Rome, and therefore Pope, head of the Roman Catholic Church and sovereign of the state of Vatican City. 17 days after the death of Pope Francis, we have a new pope for the Catholic Church. He's the first American pope, and nobody had thought of him as a candidate. And therefore, I would like to have a look at his galactic birth chart and the transit chart of his election. We find some very interesting features in his birth chart, although we do not have birth time. So if any one of you watching this video has more valid information around his birth time, let me know and I will correct the chart. For now, I assume it's part of the constellation itself, and therefore I find it valid, and let's have a look at it. The interesting part here is that his sun is in Virgo and makes a square to the nodal axis in his chart. And he is someone who has to karmically deal with the idea of the dark moon Lilith conjunct his north node. So there is a karmic connection here with the untamed, the dark, the rebellious shadow side of the feminine in all of us. It is not the easiest aspect in one's chart, and especially not in a chart of a Catholic cleric. And interestingly, with his sun in Virgo, representing obviously the zodiac sign of Virgo, representing the divine feminine. And when Pope Leo was introduced to the public and dispensed his first blessing, he also prayed the Ave Maria, the prayer to the Holy Mother, the archetype of Virgo. So I feel he himself is in conflict with his ego son, who wants to adore the Virgin Mother of Christ, the exaltation of the female archetype, and the deeper and darker aspects of the female archetype also. This is something he has to reconcile within himself, and maybe this is also part of his mission as the head of the Catholic Church. Because when we look at the transit chart of the election itself, it is 7:15 p.m. in the evening of 8th of May when the election was public. And if we go a bit deeper, you can make a screenshot and analyze the chart for yourself if you like. But there is something very interesting also showing up in the, in the transit chart. An aspect that is not very common and very special, and it is this one. It is two quincunxes and one sextile forming this kind of triangle. And this triangle is called a yod, or the finger of God. I find this especially meaningful for the Pope, that God himself points him at his mission in as a Pope. And it is this part here in the chart. We have Chiron and Mercury here conjuncting the Andromeda galaxy, and I think that his mission as Pope and as a cleric himself is to make us aware of the pain the church has caused for many. And Chiron in Aries is about our existence in the first place. So the pain and the wounds that humanity itself has received from the Catholic Church, and with Mercury, Pope Leo the 14th is someone who should start a discussion around that and should really talk about the wounds that have occurred in the 2000-year history of the Catholic Church, and start the healing process. And with Andromeda galaxy conjunct this Mercury Chiron aspect at the finger, at the tip of the finger, at the apex of the triangle, we have a lot of liberation energy around this and a lot of healing energy. So it would be wise to use this energy coming in at the moment of his election. So this is what I would like to share with you for a short time with Pope Leo. Obviously, we could, as with every chart, talk about it for hours. Let's leave it at this. And if you have additional comments or ideas around the charts, let me know in the comments. I am happy to continue the conversation here. But for now, I would like to talk with you about something more futuristic also, something out of Star Trek, really, because scientists have achieved the first successful quantum teleportation. This is what scientists at Oxford have been celebrating, the successful futuristic quantum teleportation. Because have you ever wondered what would the world be like if we could send information from one place to another without relying on cables, Wi-Fi, or even traditional signals? It sounds almost like the transporter platform aboard the USS Enterprise, right? Where we can beam ourselves onto a spaceship and back onto a planet. A transporter, of course, is a fictional teleportation machine used in the Star Trek universe, but they teleport by converting a person or an object into an energy pattern. And this is what the scientists have kind of managed to do, energizing information in this moment, teleport data between two quantum computers. This is something that will be important for us in the future, because we have to understand that quantum teleportation is possible now. And in order to understand how it works, we have to imagine two identical white crystal balls in separate rooms. And if you move one, the other moves at the exact same time, no matter how far apart they are. This is the basic idea behind quantum teleportation. And instead of crystal balls, in this case, the scientists have dealt with tiny subatomic particles called qubits. These qubits have become entangled, and this means that they form such a strong connection that whatever happens to one will instantly affect the other, no matter how far apart they are. So they have a kind of a hidden instant line of communication, almost like telepathy. And Albert Einstein famously called this phenomenon spooky action at a distance. It was one of his discoveries after his theory of relativity that made him utterly uncomfortable because he saw that the seemingly instantaneous correlation between entangled particles, even when separated by large distances. This is a very strange part of quantum entanglement. When you measure something about one particle in an entangled pair, you immediately know something about the other particle, even if they are millions of light years apart. The experiment in Oxford was called successful because information was teleported with 86% accuracy and marks a significant advancement in the development of a quantum internet. I am not so sure if 86% teleportation rate is successful, but maybe I have seen too many sci-fi movies where people were spliced during teleportation with all the uncomfortable side effects. I personally am more comfortable with concentrating on developing our telepathy skills first, and then move on to teleportation and levitation and so on. As I have talked about the worldwide quantum web, let's now talk about the Wood Wide Web. An interdisciplinary team of researchers from Italy, the United Kingdom, Spain, and Australia have found out that hours before a solar eclipse, spruce trees talk to each other. Spruce trees retain ancient memories of their environment and communicate with one another in the hours preceding a solar eclipse. That is what their international study suggests. And I quote, "We now see the forest not as a mere collection of individuals, but as an orchestra of phase-correlated plants." This quote is from Alessandro Chiolerio, Italian Institute of Technology and University of the West of England, who was the study co-leader. So the researchers built custom sensors and placed them across a forest in the Dolomite Mountains in Italy. And by using the sensors, the team recorded simultaneous bioelectrical responses from the spruce trees. And before and during the eclipse, electrical activity from individual trees became significantly more synchronized, found the researchers. So this phenomenon is evidence that the forest is a unified living system. The older trees in the forest had an early response to the eclipse that was more pronounced, say the authors, and this suggests that the old trees hold ancient memories they can access. So when events are coming up, the old trees remember and inform younger trees. This is what school does, right? This is what education does. And it is interesting that the fact that older trees respond first, potentially guiding the collective response of the forest, speaks volumes about their role as memory banks of past environmental events. This is also a quote from Galliano. I know that amongst the viewers here, there must be a huge amount of tree huggers, right? And I invite you to drop a tree emoji in the comments if you are one, and let's become quantum entangled here. We all know how much wisdom trees hold. We experience again and again their magical healing abilities. And of course, it makes sense to preserve old trees. They are the wisdom keepers. And I can only encourage you to go out in the forest, sit by a tree and meditate. I guarantee you that you will experience magic and miracles. The study was published on April 30th, and there is also a documentary on the research. You can check out the official trailer, which I will link below. It is definitely worthwhile to watch it after, of course, my Galactic Report here, because I have some more information for you. I would like to talk about a very controversial topic that has divided many over the past decades, but it is kind of connecting into the tree topic because it also deals with our fellow beings here on Earth. Mexico City has banned violent bullfighting, and that sparked a lot of fury and celebration. The lawmakers in Mexico City voted on Tuesday overwhelmingly to ban violent bullfighting. And that triggered outrage from aficionados and a celebration from animal rights activists, of course. So now in Mexico City or in Mexico, the killing of bulls and the use of sharp objects that could injure the animals are forbidden. And it also sets time limits on how long bulls could be in the ring. It is all part of an initiative dubbed Bullfighting Without Violence. Of course, the decision sparked angry protests from bullfighting supporters and matadors. Animal rights protesters celebrated, on the other hand, also for them it was a compromise, but they said it was either this or nothing. They also said that they preferred this because without a doubt, in their point of view, it's a huge step in protecting animals. Bullfighting has long been considered a tradition and a pastime, not only in Latin American nations, but obviously in Spain as well, parts of France. But it has come under criticism for animal cruelty in the last decades, because bulls are often killed at the end of the fight. And animal rights groups say that approximately 180,000 bulls are killed every year in bullfighting worldwide. I find this decision speaks about the evolution of the collective consciousness, and I personally am thankful for these news. But let me talk a bit about the complex and layered connection to mythology of bullfighting for a bit. While modern bullfighting is a spectacle, its roots can be traced back to ancient religious rituals and symbolic representations of power and sacrifice, particularly involving the bull as a sacred animal. If you have ever been to Crete, you will have encountered the ancient Minoan civilization, known for its bull worshipping culture. And you might have seen depiction of acrobats leaping over bulls. This is often cited as a potential origin of bullfighting practices, and we find many more traditions related to the slaying or sacrificing of the bull. A significant symbol of divine power associated with fertility, strength, the male principle. And we can find these in the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh, in the Mithraic mysteries, in Egyptian and Levantine cultures, and maybe in the most famous Greek myth of Europa and Zeus in the form of a bull. And of course, we have the modern interpretations around bullfight, man versus nature, representing raw primal forces, the untamed power of nature, and the confrontation between human skill and the bull. And of course, we have a lot more around this to talk about this topic, but I find these interpretations a bit exaggerated, to be honest. However, there is an undercurrent still active in our collective consciousness, because It is so ancient. And as a galactic astrologer, when I tune into those ancient currents in our field, I look up in the skies and I find the constellation of Taurus. And when I look at the charts, I see that Sun currently moves through the zodiac sign of Taurus. So on one hand, it makes sense that this controversial and ethical discussion is led now in Taurus season. And towards the end of Taurus season, we are going to have a deeper influence of the Pleiades, Hyadum and Aldebaran star systems. They are all within the Taurus constellation, and they are all talking, amongst others, of suffering and moral implications of societal rituals and the broader actions in our lives. To break it down into everyday life, the way we treat ourselves, we treat animals and all living beings around us, the trees, the rocks, including Mother Earth. It is that simple, and each and every one of us has to answer this question. And then we have to live with the consequences. And last but not least, I will talk about the US Surgeon General Casey Means, who said that she learned virtually nothing at Stanford Medical School. She says that tens of thousands of scientific papers detail the true root causes of America's declining health. And I would say it's not only America, it's worldwide. And yet they are ignored in medical education. I will cite a couple of data here. 95% of those who created the USDA dietary guidelines had major conflicts of interest with the food industry. 1 billion pounds of synthetic pesticides are sprayed on US food every year. And 99% of US farmland is treated with them. And many come from countries that ban these chemicals in their own food, including Germany, by the way. And these pesticides are linked to autism, ADHD, hormone disruption, thyroid disease, cancer, obesity, Alzheimer's, dementia, infertility, and more. She also says that heavy metals like aluminum and lead are found in our food, baby formula, and even in vaccines. And that medical practice guidelines from groups like the American Diabetes Association and the American Academy of Pediatrics are shaped by tens of millions of dollars in funding from the usual suspects, Coca-Cola, Cadbury, ultra-processed food conglomerates, and vaccine manufacturers. Dr. Casey Means says, this is a spiritual crisis. We are choosing death over life, darkness over light. This is her quote. I agree with her in terms of the spiritual crisis. I believe, yes, we are in the middle of it in a collective way. But as I said before, we are free to choose. We have access to a lot of information. Knowledge is a duty to collect. And we cannot rely on spoon-fed information any longer. And no matter what source, no matter if it's a doctor, if it's a professor, it's the Pope, and even you cannot rely on the news I share in this Galactic Report. You have to educate yourselves, and we all have to train our intuition around the information we receive. Does it resonate with me or does it not? And we also have to train our discernment regarding information. We have to use our intellect. We have to use our common sense and put information into a crystal clear, holistic perspective. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense any longer. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every one of you taking time to tune in. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel if you find value in what I do. It helps me to continue with these free galactic reports, and I love doing what I do, so support me. For now, I wish you all a very happy weekend. Enjoy the Taurus season. It is the most joyful and abundant season of the year. Enjoy your life. It is precious beyond imagination, and quantum entangle yourself with nature, with the earth and the stars.